And tonight we're talking job search strategy. And for anyone who's interested, I do have a comprehensive guide to using Indeed for your job search that's available that I'm giving away tonight for free. So if you want that, let me know in the comments and I will send you a copy of that guide. All right, so the biggest mistake that I see with job seekers or clients in the job seeking realm is that they have this belief that if they set out if they cast this huge net and they apply to every single thing that they see that they're, a little bit qualified for, then somebody's going to bite, right? The bigger your net, the more fish you're going to catch. That might be true in fishing. I'm not really sure. I don't really know a lot about fishing, but it's not true in a job search, at least not an effective job search. Because every time you apply to a position, you should have a tailored resume, a customized cover letter that's strategically aligned with that position because you're demonstrating to the hiring manager that you're the ideal candidate. So if you just have a general or generic resume that you're sending out to anyone and everybody, then the chances of standing out from the crowd are not very good. And to be honest, this is a scary statistic, but cold applying, so just going on job boards and posting your resume and applying for positions, it only has a 1 to 3% success rate. So to increase those dismal chances, you want to make sure that you are representing yourself through your professional branding, through your resume, through your LinkedIn, through your network, in alignment with the position that you are seeking. And those are all ways to increase that percentage. Okay, so we do not want to widen that. We don't want to apply to every single thing that comes across our desk. We want to have a very specific, targeted job search that aligns with our qualifications and career goals. The other thing that I see a lot of clients who come, who use our services at Polish to Prosper, the other thing I see them doing is struggling with the search terms that they put into Indeed or LinkedIn or Glassdoor or job boards, wherever they're searching for the position. They're unsure. They know they don't want to be, OT, PT, SLP, RN, NP anymore, but they're not sure what terms they should put into the search engine to find other positions that they're qualified for. So the first thing I want you to do as a job seeker is to research positions that you can do with the skills you already have, and then highlight those transferable skills in your resume and on your LinkedIn. And sometimes it's just tweaking your search terms. And if you want to be in leadership, for example, just typing in healthcare management or healthcare administration and putting in your local area and see what comes up. And then dive in deep and go through each position that seems somewhat interesting and learn about what they do, the skills required, and the knowledge you need to succeed in that position. Here's another list of search terms that you could possibly put into one of those platforms and get some interesting positions that come up that you never thought about. I was a subject matter expert for an all allied health article a couple months ago, and I spoke to Catherine, the writer, about positions for business majors who wanted to be in healthcare but didn't have a healthcare degree, so they weren't clinicians. But as I was speaking to her and telling her about all these careers, a light bulb went off and I said, these would be actually excellent positions for people who are clinicians. So you should write these down. Some of the search terms that you can use are healthcare administration, medical device sales, insurance, healthcare informatics, patient liaisons, patient advocates, policies and procedures development, quality improvement, operations management. Any of those terms, they're going to bring up a list of positions, and then you can kind of scroll through and see if any catch your eye, research that position, and then make sure you have the qualifications that are aligned and align your qualifications so that you have a better chance of landing the job. Other things to consider when you are job seeking. First, we just talked about the job title, so your keywords that you're putting into the search engine. The next thing I want you to think about is benefits. Do you need insurance? Do you need retirement? Can you get it through a partner, a spouse? Can you get it somewhere else? What are your must-haves, your non-negotiables? Make sure that when you're applying to positions that they have the things that you absolutely need. So benefits are something I want you to consider. I want you to consider Compensation, obviously, how much money you're going to be making. Another good one is flexibility. Can you negotiate flexibility? When I worked at the college, I went in, I got the position, and then I attempted to negotiate my salary. And, we kind of went head to head, and they said, we can't match the salary that you're looking for, but what we can do is increase your flexibility. So what we can't give you in money, we can give you in time off, shorter days, only being on campus when you're teaching, those kinds of things. And there are so many things that you can negotiate other than salary. People can negotiate benefits. They can negotiate time off. Some people negotiate company cars. There's all sorts of things that if you go in and you negotiate and you really align yourself again as an ideal candidate and really make them want you, you can negotiate a lot of stuff. Another big thing that we don't often think about when we're applying for a job, usually because we're in the state of, either we really, really need a job or we're just kind of searching. So we're either in a desperate state where we need to land a position immediately, or we're not completely invested in our job search and we're just keeping an eye out. But one of the things that's really important to consider is the company culture. Company culture can make or break you as far as career satisfaction. If you're going to work every day and you are not getting along with your coworkers, you have poor leadership, poor management, that is something that you can't really change effectively. So when you're considering a new position, it's definitely something to consider. So if you get called in for an interview, and I always say this, as you're walking through the lobby, the hospital, wherever you are, look around at the employees that currently work there and ask yourself, do I want to be like them? Do they look happy? Are they satisfied, or are they miserable? And ask questions in the interview about leadership style, management, how your productivity is assessed, what does your performance assessment look like? How frequently are you assessed? Always ask those questions, because company culture, to me, is even more important than salary. And also make sure you're aligning your new position with your needs at the stage of your life that you're in. For example, as a new graduate, fresh out of college, I wanted a high salary. I didn't care how much I worked. I was a workhorse. As I changed stages of life, had children, got married, those types of things, different things became more important to me. Flexibility became a lot more important to me than salary. Benefits became really important to me. My kids need insurance, things like that. So those are all things you need to consider in your job search, because if you're applying for positions that don't have your non-negotiables, you're wasting your time. And if you get called in for an interview, not only are you wasting your own time, but you're also wasting company time. So consider all those things. The other things I want you to consider are your tools. What tools are you utilizing for your job search? And here's your tools. Your brand. Okay, this is your social media presence. So your LinkedIn. You better bet that they are going to Google your name. Whatever comes up, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever comes up, that's your brand. That's the representation that you're putting out there of yourself. So just be aware of that. That's one of your tools, whether it's good or bad. So it's just something to think about. Your resume, a very powerful tool. A very powerful tool. So make sure it's tailored to the position. Your cover letter is also really important, because you can expand upon what you wrote in your resume and personalize it a little bit more. You can also look up and research the company that you're applying to and align your cover letter with their mission and their values. And then tell the reader, the hiring manager, or the recruiter, whoever's reading your cover letter, how you align with those missions and values. And that's why you would be a great addition to the company or organization that you're applying to. So a cover letter is a really strategic way to do that. The other thing about a cover letter that we didn't get into yesterday, because I've been trying to keep these short, you can actually tailor a cover letter to a position that doesn't exist. And we give you a template inside the coaching program to do that. So what you can do is, you can say you're moving from, across the country, and you're looking for a position, and you're just kind of sending out feelers. what you can do is you can connect with somebody who makes hiring decisions at a company that you want to work for and say, hi, my name's blah, 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 blah. My previous experience looks like this. If you have any openings that with these qualifications, please consider me. Here's my contact information. And you can do that with a cover letter and then attach your resume. So the cover letter has many strategic uses. It's not just something that they require when you're applying. Use that cover letter wisely. Your LinkedIn profile is another tool in your tool belt for your job seeking. Make sure it's optimized with keywords, make sure it's visible, make sure it's updated, and make sure it's cohesive with your resume. Make sure all your dates match, all your descriptions match, and make sure there's something in your about section that talks about your qualifications, skills, and knowledge. And then continuing education. So let's say you're a staff clinician now or a staff RN and you want to move into nursing leadership or management or something like that. You don't necessarily have those leadership hard skills. You can kind of supplement those gaps in your knowledge and expertise by going to conferences, taking continuing education courses, and then highlighting them, because that shows you're proactive. You know where your weaknesses are and what you're missing, and you already have a plan in place to compensate for those gaps in knowledge or experience. So that's another tool in your tool belt, is continuing education courses that are relevant to the position that you are applying to. All right, so things that you should think about as you're going through your job search. What are your top qualifications? What are you really good at? What's your area of expertise? Make sure that the position that you're applying to, you should be working within your zone of genius. And sometimes we don't realize what our zone of genius is because it comes so naturally to us. We don't realize that it's hard for other people. So I always say complete career alignment comes when the position requires you to work within that zone of genius, because it's like not even working anymore. You're not even working, you're just doing what you do, what you are so good at that maybe other people struggle with. So getting really clear on what that is, and what other areas of expertise you have, so that you can align yourself with specific positions that you're qualified for. What companies do you want to work for? We just talked about how important the culture of the company is. So make sure you're researching these companies, especially if you're planning your next position to be your last position. You're in it for the long haul. That's where you're retiring from. Research that company. Look at if they're growing, if they're receding. Are they expanding across the country? Are they just a small local clinic? Know about them. Know those numbers. Do they have a board? Is there room for growth? Do they hire internally when there is room for growth, or do they always go outside of the company? Those are all good things to know. Next, I want you to think about, how are you being found? Is your resume floating around in the internet? Is your LinkedIn profile optimized? Are you reaching out to people in decision-making roles? So think about how you're being found, because the internet is a huge place and there's millions of people looking for jobs right now. So make sure that they can actively find you. And that's by being, high rated in Google searches. So your LinkedIn profile comes up, or your social media platforms come up, and that they are saying good things about you, not negative things. So those are some quick tips of job search strategy and things to consider when you're actively searching for a job. We get more in depth in this in the coaching program, obviously. And I hope you found this helpful. I hope you use some of those search terms that I talked about at the beginning of the video and find some really interesting positions that might be worth seeking. All right. I stayed under 20 minutes, kept my promise. Have a